What's going on, guys? Welcome to your 26th biology video. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about something called the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria is another organelle in the cell, and the job of this organelle is to take food that you eat and convert it into energy that the cell can use. Now, we already know that your cell needs energy for a bunch of different things. It needs energy to do things like move, to grow, and in addition to that, cells like your brain cell, they differ from your muscle cells, and your muscle cells are different than your stomach cells, but every one of these cells has a specific job in order to keep you alive. So in order to, do that job, it needs energy as well. So, like I said, we already know that cells need energy to do a variety of things, but how it gets that energy is kind of a mystery that I'm going to start to clear up in this video. So whenever you eat a piece of food, and let me draw a molecule of food, I guess this is what a molecule of food would look like. It actually is labeled food if you look at it under a microscope. I'm just kidding. But whenever you eat some food, then what your body does is it needs to convert this to energy, and that's the job of the mitochondria. So we'll talk about this chemical process, how it breaks down the food, but for right now, just remember that the mitochondria takes this food and converts it to energy that your cells can use. Now, obviously, you aren't eating constantly, so if that's the case, then your body must store the energy in some kind of way. Well, that's what happens. Whenever the mitochondria is done breaking up the food and converting it to energy, it actually gets stored in a molecule called ATP. So ATP is just a energy storing molecule. And we'll talk more about ATP in the process that food gets converted to energy later on. But for right now, I just want to give you guys a big overview of mitochondria. So that's basically what mitochondria does, and that's why people say that mitochondria is like the power plant of your cells. Why is that? Well, it's because it produces energy, not energy to light your house or, make your light bulbs and computers turn on, but it produces energy that is needed for the cell. Now, again, like I said, actually, let me go ahead and draw a diagram right here because you guys are probably itching to know what mitochondria looks like. And of course, I can't draw any diagram without a nucleus. It just bothers me for some reason. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw one mitochondria, and it's going to be a little bit bigger than usual. And this is just to point out the different pieces of mitochondria. But typically, this would be a lot smaller than this. Of course, this mitochondria is this green thing right here. And sometimes there are thousands of mitochondria in your body. But for right now, like I said, I just want to draw a really big one just to point out to you guys the different parts of the mitochondria. So the first part we have right here is the outer membrane. So just like a cell, just like anything else with a membrane, outer membrane, and this gives the mitochondria the overall entire shape of it. Now inside we have something that kind of looks like this, kind of looks like a space alien, and let me just go ahead and color this in. Okay, this tablet I'm writing on isn't the best for coloring. Well, this fluid in here is actually called the matrix, not the movie. Actually, it's spelled the same as the movie, and this is pretty much just think of it like fluid right now. So there's fluid inside the mitochondria called the matrix, and of course the matrix has to be surrounded by its own membrane, and some people call this the matrix membrane. Other people call it the inner membrane. It's more commonly called the inner membrane. So the main pieces of the mitochondria are the outer membrane, which pretty much surrounds the entire mitochondria, the matrix, which is the fluid inside, and the inner membrane. And the inner membrane is this right here, pretty much the membrane that surrounds the fluid. Might as well go ahead and finish this right there. That's a pretty freaking sweet looking diagram, actually. So, like I said, even though I drew this really big, it isn't really this big in your cell. I just wanted to point out the different pieces. There are several thousand of these in some cells. Some cells don't have that many. It depends on how much energy your cell needs. And if you're saying, you know what? Wouldn't every cell in your body need the same amount of energy? Well, actually, no. Some things like your brain cells, your nerve cells, your neurons, they really don't need as much energy as something like your muscle cells because your muscle cells are always moving, burning energy, so they would have more mitochondria than your neurons or the cells in your brain.